Honk if you know somebody with diabetes. Raise your hand or honk your horn if you know somebody with hypertension. If you know somebody who's had a stroke. If you know somebody with asthma. If you know somebody who's a cancer survivor. If you know somebody who's a COVID survivor. All of those folk have pre-existing conditions, and if they weaken the Affordable Care Act, if they're successful in getting rid of the Affordable Care Act, all of those folk are left vulnerable and unprotected. Kelly Loeffler seems to think that's right. I think it's wrong. What do you think? And so I've been fighting for health care for years. When we were trying to pass the Affordable Care Act, I wasn't running for anything, but I was preaching about it from my pulpit because I preach every Sunday in memory of a man who spent a lot of his ministry healing the sick, even those with pre-existing conditions. Blind Bartimaeus had a pre-existing condition. The woman with the bleeding, the hemorrhage, she had a pre-existing condition. The 10 lepers had a pre-existing condition. And so I was preaching about health care from my pulpit and saying it's a human right. And when Georgia refused to expand Medicaid in this state, leaving then 400,000 and today 500,000 Georgians in the Medicaid gap, I went to the governor's office. And I said, Mr. Governor, you must expand Medicaid in this state. It doesn't make sense not to expand Medicaid. This is money we are already paying in our federal taxes. This is not new money. If we don't expand Medicaid, all that means is we're subsidizing health care in other states while our hospitals are closing. And we've had 9 hospitals in our rural areas close in the last 10 years, in part because we've refused to expand Medicaid. And so I said to the governor, you must expand Medicaid. And because I sit in the same pulpit and preach from the same pulpit where Martin Luther King Jr. preached, I believe that you don't just preach the sermon, you have to live the sermon. And so I went to the governor's office and we had a sit-in. And they said, you have to get out of the governor's office. The Capitol Police showed up and I wasn't mad at them. They were there doing their job. I was there doing my job. And they said, if you don't clear the office, Pastor, we will have to arrest you. And what they didn't understand is that I had already been arrested. My mind and my imagination had been arrested by this idea that if my neighbor is uncovered, I'm unprotected, even if I have health care. That we are tied in a single garment of destiny. And so they carted us away that day. Not in mind, they were there doing their job. And I was there doing my job. Then in 2017, when the Congress was giving a $2 trillion tax giveaway to the richest of the rich, while taking away resources from the Children's Health Care Program, taking resources from those who need it the most in order to give it to those who needed it the least, I went to the U.S. Capitol. And since I had not been elected a United States Senator yet, and could not make my argument on the floor of the Senate, I made my argument in the rotunda of the Senate. And I began to say that this budget says a lot, because a budget is not just a fiscal document, it's a moral document. Show me your budget and I will show you your values. Show me a nation's budget and I will show you who you think matters and who doesn't. And so we began to sing and pray in the rotunda of the Capitol. The Capitol Police came again and they said, you can't stay in the rotunda of the Capitol. We will have to arrest you. We'll give you 3 warnings. And so you know what happened. I'm the pastor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church. I stand in a mighty moral tradition where you don't mind putting your body in the struggle because you know that that's what really counts, standing on the side of truth and justice and righteousness, come what may. And so they carted us away that day. And now here I am, 3 years later, not protesting in the Senate, but running for the Senate. And I hope that I can run again into those Capitol Police officers. I'm not mad at them. I look forward to seeing them in a few more weeks because they will not be escorting me to central booking. They will be escorting me to my new office as the next United States Senator from the state of Georgia, where I can translate my protests into public policy, my agitation into legislation until everybody has access to affordable health care. Until we stop just calling people essential workers, that we actually pay them an essential wage. Provide for them essential benefits. And so don't just vote for me. Vote for affordable health care. Vote for a quality education for all of our children. Because I know that that's what made the difference for me. If it weren't for Pell Grants, low-interest student loans, if it weren't for Head Start and Upward Bound, good federal public policy, I would not be standing here. Personal responsibility, yes, but it takes more than personal responsibility. It also takes good public policy. And don't let anybody shame you when we demand good public policy, when we demand our own resources. Because while they're trying to shame you, they're busy subsidizing the riches of the rich. That's why Kelly Loeffler wants that seat. Why do you think she paid for it? She's an investment professional. She knows a good investment when she sees it. So she is a high net worth Republican donor. She gave millions of dollars. She got that Senate seat. She didn't waste any time helping you to see why she wanted it. When she heard about the coronavirus pandemic, she wasn't thinking about those who were sheltering in. She was busy trying to shelter her own portfolio. Dumped millions of dollars of stock. Profited from the pandemic. Who does that while telling you there's nothing to worry about? Who does that? Forgive me, I'm from the hood. Where I'm from, they say, where they do that at? Playing it down for the people while profiting off of the pandemic. And meanwhile, she thinks that you ought to vote for her to stay in that seat? She invested in that seat and it worked out well for her. Well, the bad news for Kelly Loeffler is this. The folk who sold her that seat don't own that seat. It belongs to the people of Georgia. And come January 5th, the people of Georgia are coming to get their seat back. Are you ready to take your seat back? That's your seat. That's your seat. As we say in church, tell your neighbor, that's your seat.